Okay, thank you very much. Let us chant the prayers and begin. We have completed till the seventh chapter of the Gita. Uh, this week we begin the eighth chapter. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurudmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine. नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. So, out of the 18 chapters of the Bhagavad Gita, we have finished the first six sections. First six chapter is the first section, which is the initial six chapters of the Gita. We are into the second section of the Bhagavad Gita. This section again has like six chapters. Seventh one is done, and we move to the eighth. A little revision for the seventh one. What happened in the seventh one, if you remember, we had taken the acronym as HEAD, HEAD. Text 1 to 3, Krishna says that you have to hear about me. If you want to practice Bhakti Yoga, the topmost amongst all the yogas, one has to begin the process of hearing. Then Krishna explained between text 4 to 12, Krishna explained about how he is present everywhere in the form of his energies. Right? So Krishna is there and Krishna functions to the medium of his energies, which are non-different from Krishna. Like Srila Prabhupada would say, how the prime minister or the king, they don't have to they don't need to run around and do everything by themselves. They have their energies, they have their representatives who do things for them. Similarly, the concept of God, as if God is doing everything. Krishna brings in here, yes, I have my energies, and to my energies I function. Okay. So now, which are the energies? Earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, ego. These eight energies constitute the material part of the energy. And then there is spiritual energy, which is soul. Right? Krishna will discuss about material world and the spiritual world also as we move to 8th chapter, 9th chapter, and also later in the 15th chapter. Okay. So then Krishna explains in the 7th chapter, we had taken, I said acronym was HEAD, HEAD. A is accept or reject. So there are those who accept Krishna. There are those who reject Krishna. If you see text 7.13, Krishna explains why, if I, as soul, I'm energy of Krishna, why have I forgotten? Krishna also I forgot. I have forgotten that I am soul. What is, so Krishna says there is an energy, Tribhir Gunamayir Bhavayir, Mohitam Ebihi Sarvam Jagat. There are three modes working in this world. These three modes put the soul into forgetfulness. Which are these three modes? Mode of goodness, mode of passion, and mode of ignorance. Generally, passion and ignorance bring forgetfulness in us. Why should we forget? Because we wanted to forget Krishna. That's why we are in this world. So Krishna has to make all the arrangement for it. Okay, you make an attempt. Now, when I want to remember Krishna, when I want to become spiritually awakened, this energy is going to test us. That ignorance will, the covering of ignorance will trouble us. Right? How do you come out of this ignorance? Krishna says, very difficult. On your own, you cannot. But if you surrender to me, Mam eva ye prapadyante mayam etam tarantite. If you surrender to Krishna, then you can come back to Krishna. You can easily cross over this mortal energy which deludes, which makes us forgetful. Right? Then Krishna talks about four kinds of people who cannot come to him. That is text 15. Text 16, four kinds of people who can come to him. Right? We had discussed them, so I'm not going to go into detail. So out of them, the four Artho, Artharthi, Jigyasu, and Jnani who can come to Krishna, who come to Krishna. Krishna says the Jnani is the best, one who comes in knowledge, because that person has come for knowledge, he will ultimately reach Eka Bhaktir Vishishyate. He will come, the devotion will come in his heart. And ultimately, Krishna says, how long will it take? Bahunam Janmanam Ante. After many, many repeated births and deaths, Jnanavan, one who is actually in knowledge, Mam Prapadyate, surrenders to me. Vasudevah Sarvam Iti, that Krishna is everything. Sa Mahatma Sudurlabha. Oh, that's not a normal Atma. This person who surrenders to Krishna is Mahatma. Where do you find them? Very rare. Durlabha, no, Sudurlabha, Krishna says. And ultimately, the last section, which was from text 20 to text 30, Krishna brings home the concept of demigods, the devatas. Right? The devatas, the governing, agents on behalf of Krishna. Right? So we have to live in this world as Atma. In the material world, we want to go back to Krishna. We have to sustain ourselves. Right? So Krishna creates agents. Okay, you cannot surrender to me. At least begin the surrender process somewhere. Okay, so the devatas, the demigods are supplying you so many things, right? If you cannot come to Krishna, okay, go to devatas. Devatas will provide the habit of surrendering, submitting, praying. All this will begin, and ultimately one will come to Krishna. So this was the 7th chapter of the Gita. Let's move on to the 8th chapter. When we had discussed the 2nd chapter of the Gita, I had mentioned to you something from here, which is putting as summary, later will be explained in the 8th chapter. So 2nd chapter, last verse, Prayana Kale. So Prayana Kal, the moment of death. Right? One has to maintain one's good consciousness, Krishna consciousness, till the point of death. So life is the preparation and death is the examination for us. What would you do at that point? What kind of consciousness would you have? Depending on that consciousness will carry us to the next birth. Or if we are Krishna conscious, then we will not remain in this world. We will go back to Krishna. So that Prayana Kala, Arjuna once again will catch it. And in the 8th chapter, you'll find the chapter begins with Arjuna's questions. So the acronym for the 8th chapter is DEAD. D, E, A, and D. First D stands for doubts. Arjuna will express his doubts in 2 verses and Krishna will answer them in 2 verses. But he'll hold on with this moment of death and explain it for a long time. Then E, dead. D stands for doubts. E stands for end of life. Okay, I'll show you this slide so that it becomes clear for all of you. Can you see this, all of you?
Yes, true. Yes, true.
So dead. You see here, doubts is text 1 to 4. End of life, 5 to 8. How do you attain the supreme? That's text 9 to 22. And ultimately, beautiful section of devotion to Krishna, that is 23 to 28. So that's DEAD. Okay. Now let me explain. So the text, if you see the first section, text 1 to 4, a little technical here. Krishna, Arjuna will ask question about Adhyatma. What is Adhyatma? Right? Adhyatma, uh, uh, which is already discussed, but there's a technical word. Arjuna asks it in a form of technical word. What is this Adhyatma that scriptures talk about? So Krishna explains the soul, the body also referred as Atma, the mind referred as Atma, right? Depending on one's consciousness. Some people are, I am the body, or there are those, I am the mind. But those who are in knowledge, they will say, Adhyatma is I am soul. Like at the point of death, but who has passed away? People say, oh, our near and dear one has passed away. But the body is still lying. No, the original person is gone. The real person is no more. The soul has passed away. That's Adhyatma. Then Arjuna asks about what is Brahman. Right? So Krishna explains Brahman is that indestructible and eternally existing, right? Uh, light coming from the body of the Lord. This will be further explained as we move to 13th chapter and 14th chapter. So Brahman is also referred to, spirit. Whatever is spiritual is called Brahman. Actually, Brahman means the great. Right? Okay, we move ahead. Then Arjuna asked, the third thing Arjuna has asked in the 8th chapter as his doubt is what is karma? Right? So we have heard this word karma, very popular. It has come into English dictionary also now. Oh, my bad karma. Oh, the good karma, they will say. What is this karma? Depending on your consciousness, right? If my consciousness, right, what is my, I want to lord it over material nature, Prabhupada would say. I want to enjoy, right? I want to exploit. I want to have everything for myself, right? So when my consciousness is stooped in enjoying the matter, right? That means I perform action within this world to enjoy. This action will produce reaction. What is the reaction? My consciousness is that of enjoying matter. So I, to enjoy matter, will require a certain specific body. It's like, you know, why should Atma get the body of a fish? Because the desire was to enjoy, within, I am living on land. How would it be to live underwater? Okay, a suitable body given. How about in the air? Okay, another suitable body. There are suitable bodies depending on how you want to enjoy. 8.4 million species. So the various material bodies, right, that are available to the soul depends on the karma of the soul, the material consciousness of the soul. That's karma. What is Adhibhuta? The next question, that fourth one that Arjuna had asked was, what is Adhibhuta? Adhibhuta means the ever-changing physical nature, which is constantly changing. Right? Like if you all are asked this question, did you change bodies in this life? Yes or no? We all have, right? The soul remains the same, but the external body changes. That's Adhibhuta, that which undergoes transformation. Right? So the material bodies, they generally pass through 6 changes or 6 stages: birth, growth, there is maintenance, there is production of byproducts, ultimately dwindles and then vanish. Right? So this physical nature which changes, apparently changes. Now, what is this body? Earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, influence, ego, amalgamation of all this. And till the time the soul is present, all this combination seems to be changing. Actually, nothing is changing. It seems to be. Right? The presence of soul does it. Right? If some lump of earth is lying somewhere, there will be no change. It will just remain as lump of earth. Water as water, fire as fire, air as, all of them come together, and the presence of the soul. So many changes are happening. Boyhood, youth, old age. This is adhibhuta, right? The physical nature which is seems to be changing, ever changing material manifestation. Right? Then Arjuna has asked the fifth thing is Adhidaiva. What is Adhidaiva? The universal form, the entire universe, right, which includes all the demigods. And you'll find in the 11th chapter, Arjuna will once again ask, I want to see that Adhidaiva, I want to see that Virata Rupa of yours. And Krishna will show him the universal form. Okay. We won't go into details of it now. Then who is Adhyagya? Right? Arjuna has asked this question also. Super soul, Paramatma. Right? So Atma is present in the heart, in the region of the heart, I'm sorry. Atma, which is I am, that's Atma. Along with the Atma, there is also Paramatma. Krishna, one of the expansions of Krishna sitting there as Paramatma to guide the soul. The Upanishads explain how there are two birds on the branch of a tree. There are two birds on the branch of a tree. One bird trying to eat the fruits of the tree, and the other bird watching over. And the other bird is trying to say, please turn to me. I can provide you everything. But this bird jumping around from one branch to another, right, tasting the fruits of this material world. So Atma is present and Paramatma is present. All that the Atma has to do is turn to Paramatma and take guidance, take help. Right? So this Adhyagya is the Paramatma. Okay. Now comes the next section, dead, D-E-A-D, end of life. Arjuna has asked this question. Right? What is birth? What is death? What is this duality? I neither know why I took birth, and I don't know why I have to die, even if I don't want to. Right? So Krishna, in the 5th verse, Krishna says a very beautiful verse. Antakale chamam eva smaran mugdva kalevaram yah prayati samadbhavam yati nasti atra samshayah. So if we had time, I could have connected all the 6 inquiries of Arjuna, whatever we discussed till then, with this prayana kala at the point of death, but it is beyond the scope of our discussion now. Krishna says, Antakale cha mameva, Antakala, end of life, Antakala, cha mam eva smaran. You have to think of me. Mam eva smaran, think of only of me. What will happen? Yah prayati sa madbhavam, then you will attain my nature, spiritual nature. You now have material consciousness, you will attain spiritual consciousness. Or now you are in the material world, your test is at the point of death, can you think of Krishna? If you can do it, then you will from material world to the spiritual world. And Krishna is saying, Yati nati nasti atra samshaya. There is no doubt about it. So the test is, will I be able to remember Krishna at the point of death? The yogis, they're all trying to do meditation. Right? For what? At the point of death, what is my consciousness? The Gyanis, they're trying to study scriptures, knowledge, knowledge, knowledge. For what? At the point of death, this knowledge should help me. But the Karmi, the Yogi, the Jnani, the Bhakta, for everyone, the rule is same. At the point of death, you have to remember Krishna. Right? So, the sixth verse, Krishna says, just as by remembering me, you can attain me, by remembering anything else, you attain that object. Right? So, at the point of death, what do you think of? What is your consciousness? You will get the next body accordingly. Either a material body in this world or the spiritual body in the spiritual world. Your consciousness. Right? So if I want to remember Krishna at the point of death, what should I do? Anybody would like to help me? I want to remember Krishna at the point of death. Please help me. Please don't say,
I think
Prabhuji,
it's like you have to
please.
start practicing daily.
I have to
Like,
start practicing daily.
so you can
Okay.
remember that time. It's like when you have an exam, you cannot give an exam in one go. You have to start studying ahead of time. Same thing,
Mhm.
like you have to start devotional service early and every day.
Okay. Okay. Shamanta Kaushik, who's going to wants to answer?
Start thinking about Krishna and everything, keeping Krishna in the center of each and every of my act, so that it helps me to remember Krishna at the time of my death.
Okay. Because death is going to be a surprise exam. Right? It's not going to be any kind of exam. It's going to be a surprise exam. So it's going to surprise me. So when do I prepare? I remain prepared. I try to keep my consciousness as much as possible around or surrounding Krishna. I chant for Krishna. I eat for Krishna. I sleep for Krishna. I go to Krishna temple. I study Krishna scripture. Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. I associate with devotees of Krishna. What will happen? Krishna, Krishna, especially chanting of the names of Krishna, right? You find that traditional India, what would they do? When somebody is about to die, right? They won't put the patient into ICU and, put machines and somehow extend life. Over, we tried our best and nobody would generally die young. There was a time in India, everybody was, they would live till 90, 95, 100. Right? Life was good when there was no chemical drugs or, pesticide-ridden food and the polluted air and water that we have now with all our advancement that we think of is advancement. People would actually live full life, full uh, course of life. At the point of death, relatives are coming, friends are coming, they will chant kirtan, they will chant bhajan, they will put tulsi in the mouth, they will put Ganga Jal in the mouth and help the person. You have done your duties now. Remember Krishna now. Remember Rama now. And the consciousness, if it is of around Krishna and Rama, what will happen? Spiritual consciousness. I go back to Krishna. Right? But today's day and age, life has become difficult. Even death cannot be out of my choice. If I want to make some arrangement for my death, even that has become so difficult. What are we working for? Neither living is proper, nor death is something that I can, that I can think of, could be the best possible death. Even that I am not allowed. Right? Simply living, hardly thinking. Not simple living, high thinking. It is simply living and hardly thinking what is to be done and what is not to be done. So at the point of death, so Krishna has first Krishna says in the fifth verse, you have to think of me at the point of death, then you will come back to me. And next Krishna says, Anyways, Arjuna, you are aware, the rule is very clear, right? At the point of death, whatever you think of, if your consciousness, whatever your consciousness is imbued with, is surrounded around, you'll get another birth. Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tyajati ante kalevaram tam tam evaiti kaunteya sada tad bhava bhavitaha. I'll leave you with a homework in the 6th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Please read the story of Ajamil, this person who chanted the name of Narayan at the very sinful man, right? But chanted the name of Narayan at the point of death, not the name of Narayan. He chanted the name of his son. He called out his, youngest one, Narayan. But because he said Narayan, he got a second chance. So please read that story. This thing will become further clarified to you at the point of death. Right? You have another story in Bhagavatam 8th canto, Gajendra, who at his point of death, Gajendra is the elephant, but he prayed to the Lord. Right? Okay. Shamanta Prabhu, you have raised hand for him.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Kaushik, yes.
Prabhuji, there is also a connotation that you think and do in your present moment on about Krishna, and at the time of death, Krishna will come and take you. Don't worry about it. You
You
don't
have to
need
be
to
sincere.
forcefully think
You
about him.
have to be sincere enough that Krishna will come to pick you up, right? Your practice should have been like that, right? So if somebody does good to me and if they are in need, I would run. I would like to help because I have received so much. So if a devotee is sincerely practiced while living, at the point of death, do you think Krishna is an ungrateful person? Krishna is very grateful to his devotees. The devotee has put so much. If when we go to the 10th chapter and we go to the Chatushloki Gita, I will tell you there. Right? Tesham evanukampartham, Tesham eva anukampa, out of compassion for those. Ahamadnyanajam tamaha, I remove the darkness of ignorance from their heart with the torchlight of knowledge. Krishna gives us the knowledge. But anukampa, when would you have compassion on somebody? Kaushik Prabhu.
Only if I am interested to do.
Oh, the person is in real need and the person is really begging for it. Right? Then you feel compassion. So Krishna says, for my devotees, I am watching over when they perform their sadhana, when they're living their lives, when they are putting their best against all odds. At the point of death, Krishna says, I will come and save you. Right? But we should not just think, aaj masti karo, live your life the way you would like to. Krishna, you come, you come. I'll wait for you at the point of death. No. We can't cheat Krishna. Right? Okay. So on what basis the soul is awarded the next body? That is whatever the soul thinks of at the point, whatever state of being one remembers when one quits his body, Krishna says that state one will attain without fail. So if you have studied the laws in mathematics, laws in physics, laws in chemistry, laws for practically every subject has laws. These are laws of life. At the point of death, whatever you think of, you will get next body. If you think of Krishna, you will go back to Krishna. You will get spiritual body like Krishna. Many laws have been taught to us, but we haven't been taught this important law. How to live life, how to leave from this world. That my exit, when I exit from this world or this life, how does that exit happen? So two things, desire and deserve, two D's play a role there. At the point of death, you have to desire. And whatever you desire, you should also deserve it. It's like saying, I'm a student and I don't study throughout the year. But when I am given the question paper in the exam hall, now I desire I should be the topper in the class. How many of you think I would top? I'm desiring. At the time of exam, I'm desiring. You will say, sir, you don't deserve. You didn't study. Take the opposite of it. I study the whole year. I go to the exam hall, and when I'm given the question paper, I sleep for next 3 hours. But I argue, no, I should have been the topper. I studied. I deserve. You will say, sir, at the right time, you did not desire. So desire and deserve. I don't know, why do these balloons shoot up in my Zoom? What setting is there? I'm so sorry about it. So, so deserve. I practice throughout all my life. I have been very, very Krishna conscious. But the test will still be there. At the point of death, I have to remember Krishna. No one can say, agreed, understood, accepted. At the point of death, I have to think of Krishna. No problem. I will live life the way I have to now. I'll do every sinful activity possible. And then one day will come, ab man bhar jayega. I have done enough sinful activities. I have done all kinds of enjoyment possible. Now I take a gun. Krishna. See, I remembered Krishna before I die. So, no, sir, your deserve factor is not there with you. So the desires are stored in our mind at the time of death. The desire, whatever is prominent will come. Right? The good karma, the bad karma also is taken into account. Right? So at the point of death, whatever I am attached to, if I'm attached to Krishna, I will think of Krishna. If I'm attached to my house, if I'm attached to my dog or a cat, if I'm attached to anybody in this world, next life accordingly. Wherever your attachments are there, your consciousness is invested there. And that consciousness will take you to the next birth. Okay. So, you find in the 5th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, you will find the story of Bharat Maharaj. Right? So Bharat Maharaj, he left his kingdom. He renounced at the right time. And he went to the forest, was performing very, very serious practice. But what happened? One deer was being chased by a lion. And this mother deer, she gave birth to a baby and she died. Bharat, he saw this scene. He picked up this baby deer and brought it to his ashrama, to his hermitage. And while he would do his chanting, his puja, all around, this baby deer was always with him. And little by little, Bharat became so attached to this baby deer that he forgot even his daily practices. Right? The deer became very dear. So much dear that he left his practices. And one day, now it's a deer, and the deer is in the forest. What do you expect? As deer grew up, the deer saw other deers and thought, what am I doing with this human? They look like me. And the baby deer just left, Bharat. And Bharat went crazy because of his attachment. Where is my baby deer? Where is my baby deer? And in the search of that baby deer, Bharat fell from a mountain and died. But because Bharat was thinking of the deer, he got the body of a deer in the next birth. Live, but this deer was different. Bhagavatam says, because Bharat was very advanced in consciousness, in his practice, he got another birth, but this deer would not go around in the forest. This deer would only live around the, the hermitages of the sages. This deer did not want to compromise now. And when the deer's body was over, again a human body was awarded to the soul. The third life, Bharat Maharaj, and then the deer, and then he got another human form. And in this human form, Bharat was called Jada Bharat. What does Jada Bharat means? Crazy Bharat. Why is he crazy? He's behaving crazy so that nobody will take him seriously. Oh, this fellow would not study. Good for nothing. He has no intelligence. Thank you. Leave me. I don't want to be part of your world. I already lost, 2 lives. I don't want to become serious in your world. And because he has not studied, who will marry this fellow? What a house and finances and this and that. This guy will not understand anything. Everyone just gave up on him. And Bharat was internally very happy. Nobody chasing me. Now I can chase Krishna. When we want to be the good person of this world, then the world chases us. They want something from us. Bharat became so serious a practitioner. Right? Like one time, one person asked me, I was in a train, and this person asked me, can I ask you a personal private question? And he said, why do you shave your head and wear clothes like this, orange colored cloth, saffron colored cloth? So I was put to question. I said, what should I answer? And I told him, because, you will leave me and not trouble me. Nobody would want to come closer to me. Oh, give it up. Don't go close to this person. Sometimes, those who are like nuisance, they won't come close. If they have something spiritual to ask, they may come and talk to me. Or they will never open up general topics with me. No, there is no point talking politics with this guy. There is no point talking about worldly, things with this person. Right? So, what it does is, the serious practitioner that Bharat was, 3 lives, right? But because he lost so much time, Bharat was very serious. That's why Prahlad Maharaj in the 7th canto Bhagavatam says, if you are going to live an average 100 years, around 1/3, 30, 35 years will go in sleeping only. How much time will go in eating? How much time will go in bathing? And how much time will go in so many worldly activities? Take away another 25 years. Right? 70 are gone. And when we are old, senile, literally 10, 15 years, 10 years, nothing we will be able to do. We don't have 5, 10 years actual practice of spirituality. We don't have much time remaining. How much serious should we become? So, where do we begin? We go back to 7th chapter, 1st verse. Krishna said, hear about me. What we are doing now? We are listening to Bhagavad Gita. We are hearing. What did Arjuna do? He heard from Krishna. Where do I begin? As soon as I feel I want to become serious in my spiritual practice, start hearing from the right sources. Right? So, if one is absorbed in the service of Krishna, right? Because Krishna is spiritual, I will also get a spiritual body. Why do we chant Hare Krishna? Why are we chanting the names of Krishna? I chant the names of Krishna and I hear the name. The more I hear the name of Krishna, I get purified in my heart. Right? Then at the point of death, when my attachments are all washed off, right, one by one, and I only am attached to Krishna, it will be easier to remember Krishna. That's why in the text 7, Krishna says, Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu, Arjuna, for all the time, Mam anusmara yudhyacha. People will say, sir, if I keep on chanting 24 hours a day, who will feed me? What about my work? Krishna says, Mam anusmara, think of me and then fight. Begin your day by chanting Hare Krishna and then go to your office. Take care of your family, do your things, but you have to prioritize Krishna. Mam anusmara, first think of me, and yudhyacha. Arjuna had to fight the battle. None of us are doing that. Arjuna's test, was actually severe. He has to remember Krishna while fighting and killing. We don't have such a life, such expectation is not there. Whatever little we are doing in our life, Krishna is saying, first begin your day by remembering me and then fight. Mai arpit mano buddhir, you offer your mind and intelligence to me. Mame vaishyasya samshayah, you will come back to me. So now when Krishna said, Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mam anusmara, right? So Arjuna will think, how is it possible? So Krishna in the 8th verse says, Abhyasa yoga yuktena, you have to do abhyasa. Abhyasa simply means practice. Every day, the same practices have to be done. You worship Krishna, you chant for Krishna's name. You serve Krishna, you associate with Krishna's devotees. There has to be abhyasa done. Abhyasa yoga yuktena. Right? If you remember 6th chapter also, Krishna had said the similar thing. If you want to control this mind, Arjuna, abhyasena tu kaunteya vairagyena cha grihate. You have to perform abhyasa and there has to be vairagya, detachment. There are certain things, don't do it. If you indulge, the mind is going to become nastier. So you have to drop certain things and you have to add a certain thing. That is called abhyasa. Paramam purusham divyam yati parthanu chintayam. Always think of Krishna. Okay, we go to the 3rd section of the chapter, which is A, attaining the supreme. This is the longest section that we in the chapter, from 9th verse to 22nd verse, attaining the supreme. So Krishna talks about the ways of remembering Krishna. Now, in this section, what is happening is there is something called Yoga Mishra Bhakti. So Bhakti has to be prominent, but sometimes you'll find Jnana mixing there. Right? Like some people will tell you, if you say, I simply chant Hare Krishna and I serve Krishna, they will say, what about knowledge, study of scriptures? They'll bring their Jnana in between. The Shuddha Bhakti mixed with Jnana. There are those who will say, meditation, Dhyana. Yeah? They will bring in their yoga practices in between. There are those who will bring their karma tendencies to karma, jnana, yoga, bhakti and Shuddha Bhakti. But when you're trying to practice bhakti, your previous karma, because one may be attached to the body, so karma, one may be attached to the mind, so intelligence, attached to the attached to the mind, so dhyana, attached to intelligence, then jnana. These previous tendencies will infiltrate into the practice of Shuddha Bhakti. So this section, Krishna is talking about those who are Yoga Mishra Bhaktas. They are devotees. They want to go to Krishna. They want to remember Krishna at the point of death. But they have these yogic tendencies that they want to practice. The dhyana tendencies. So Krishna talks about the Shata Chakra Yoga. You have heard of Shata Chakras, 6 chakras in the very different sections of the body. Actually, they are not there. They have to be, they are thought of like that. The 6 chakras, right? And that's how Prana Vayu, right? And the Chaitanya is, brought up. Yoga Balena Chaiva. Okay. So, the Mooladhara Chakra, the Swadhisthana chakra, the Nabhi chakra, Anahat chakra, Vishuddhi chakra, Agya chakra, Sahasra chakra, right? So all these chakras are there. These are called centers of energy. And you have heard of Kundalini Yoga. The Kundalini is to be raised. And all this is this only 8th chapter, this much part, 9 to 22. As soon as the 22nd verse is over, Krishna will once again come to Shuddha Bhakti, the pure devotion to him. Okay, we'll discuss this. So Krishna talks about the requirements for Shata Chakra Yoga in the 11th verse. He talks about the results of the Shata Chakra Yoga in the 11th verse, second part. He gives the process in the 12th verse. He gives the destination for this Yoga Mishra Bhakta in the 13th verse. Now, in the 14th verse, Krishna gives, for the devotee, he's very, now one will say it is so difficult, all these chakras to be understood, the Kundalini to be raised, the energy centers, and all, so much tapasya, going to forest, living alone. It is difficult. Yes, it is. It was easy in the Satyuga, especially in that time and age. So Krishna, you'll find the 14th verse of 8th chapter, Krishna uses the word sulabha. It's sulabh. Sulabh means easy to be attained. Ananya cheta satatam yomam smarati nityashah tasyaham sulabha partha nitya yuktasya yoginah. Krishna, ananya cheta, one whose consciousness is always fixed in me, one who is always trying to remember me, Krishna alone. Tasya aham, for that person, me, I am sulabha, very easily attained. Right? So, now what should be offered? So Krishna, in the 15th verse, Krishna says, Mam upetya, once you attain me, what will happen? Punar janma, you will not take birth again. Where? In this world of dukkhalayam or shashvatam. Two adjectives Krishna gives to this world. That you will not take birth in this dukh. So, if you see Pustakalay, what do you expect to get there? Pustaka. Madiralay, alcohol. Aushadhalay, aushad. Dukkhalay, dukkha. This world of misery, miserable material world. Krishna says you will not take birth again. The second adjective Krishna uses is ashashvatam, temporary. Everything is temporary, anitya. This world is anitya. Right? We may want to hold on with things and people and situations, they don't remain. Temporary. And it's very frustrating for the soul. Soul is permanent, eternal, wants everything, all experience to remain eternal. But that's not the world we are in. The world itself is temporary. The world is itself a place of misery, designed like that. Dukkhalaya, ashashvatam. Krishna says, you will not take birth in this world. Na apnuvanti mahatmana, but samsiddhim paramam gata. You will attain the highest siddhi of coming back to me. Right? Okay. Then Arjuna may ask, Krishna, you are saying we will come back to you. We will come, the bhakti yogi will very easily attain you just by thinking of you. What about the higher planets within this world that you have made? Brahma Bhuvana Loka. Krishna says from the topmost planet of Brahma to the Bhuvaloka. All these places are Punarjanma, repeated birth and death. But once you come back to me, to the spiritual world, you will not take birth again. Krishna explains, even if somebody becomes a Brahma, right? Like you'll find people thinking, I want to go to Svarga. But beyond Swarga is Janaloka, Tapaloka, Maharloka, and the topmost planet is Satyaloka, where Brahmaji resides. Right? One may say, Brahma ban ke dekho kya? Shall I try to become Brahma? Krishna says even Brahma's life is temporary. Maybe long life, but temporary life. One time Prabhupada was in Mayapur, and in those days they would use candlelight. And in the night when Prabhupada is working on his desk, they put the laltane, right? Right? And the morning when Prabhupada got up, he called his secretary and said, just look at this. Around that candlelight, there were hundreds of dead insects. And Srila Prabhupada said, look at them. They took birth last evening, and by morning they are dead. Their boyhood, youth, old age, death, everything happened within our 12 hours. So there are entities, Atmas taking bodies, for them whole life finishes in 12 hours of humans. What in regards to humans, imagine the devatas, the demigods, their lifespan is even more. And Brahma's lifespan, oh, he lives the longest. Sahasra yuga pariyantam aharyad brahmano viduhu ratri yuga sahasrantam teho ratra viduhu janah. Brahmaji lives for a very, 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 very long lifespan. And if you do the mathematics, Brahmaji lives for his 100 years. And I will give you the exact number of human years that, human time span that Brahmaji lives. I would request all of you to write it down on a sheet of paper, and you have to write the exact number for it. Right? This is Brahma's lifespan. 311.04 trillion human years. Write down the exact number. 311.04 trillion human years. See how many zeros can you put? This is the long, long, long lifespan of Brahma. Right? Why do we go to a doctor? Please extend my life. I want to live more. 1 week, 1 year. Right? Everyone wants a long lifespan. One may say Brahmaji's life. Krishna says, even don't desire even Brahma's life. That also is temporary. There's an end to it. Right? So, nothing in this world will satisfy the soul. Right? This material world is manifest and it unmanifests at a certain time. It comes into existence and it will unmanifest. That's the nature of material world, but not the spiritual world. Spiritual world, right? It remains all the time. That's why it is eternal spiritual world. We are in the material world now, which is manifested at a certain time and unmanifested at a certain time. In text 20, right, and 21, Krishna now Krishna is given the description about this world, Dukkhalayam, Ashashvatam, from the topmost planet to the lowest planet is repeated birth and death. Even if you become Brahma, that life is also temporary. Now Krishna says, what about spiritual world? In text 20, see the words Avyakta and Sanatana. Two words Krishna says in 8.20. Avyakta, unmanifest to my eyes now. Right? I cannot see the spiritual world. And Sanatana, it is eternal. In text 21, Avyakto akshara iti uktas tamahu paramam gatim yam prapya na nivartante tadhama paramam mama. That abode of mine, the spiritual world, Krishna says, my abode, that once you attain that, you will not take birth again. Yam prapya na nivartante. How do you attain that world. See the text 22. Bhaktya labhyastu ananyaya. You can attain to Krishna's abode by ananya bhakti, undeviated bhakti, shuddha bhakti, pure bhakti. Only that will give you, chance to go to Krishna's abode. Purusha sapara partha bhaktya labhya. How will you attain it? Bhaktya labhya. Which kind of bhakti? Ananyaya bhakti. Let's go to the last section. Krishna further explains the devotion part. So D-E-A-D, the D. Now Krishna talks about at the point of death, the soul will leave the body. When should the soul leave the body? Those who are yoga mishra bhaktas, whose devotion is mixed with yoga, right? We discussed that. These guys will look for the right time. They will not want to go at any time. They will decide their time. So if you know Mahabharata, you find Bhishma was waiting. Bhishma fell on the battlefield. Arjuna created a bed of arrows for Bhishma. But Bhishma did not die, did not leave his body. That's the kind of yogi he was. So much pain, but the soul, he would not allow it to leave the body. He wanted to leave at an opportune time. When was that? The yogi will decide and leave the body. That's the abhyasa. That's the practice. Because if one chooses the right time, accordingly destination will be given. For the yoga mishra bhaktas, for a pure devotee completely under the shelter of Krishna, one who has raised one's hand, yes, Krishna, I depend on you. Krishna says, I will, sulabha, I will take back. But those who still have those tendencies, Krishna says there are two ways of leaving the body. There is called path of light and path of darkness. In Sanskrit, they are called Uttarayana, right, and Dakshinayana. When the sun moves towards the easterly direction and when the sun moves from the southern direction, the yogis will want to leave when the sun moves to easterly direction, right? So January to a certain time in the year, Uttarayana goes on, and then Dakshinayana begins. Or the yogi will not want to leave the body in the night time, the daytime. Right? Sometimes people say, "Oh, our relative they left during the day," and they'll say, "Oh, good, good, good. The sun was out. It was not dark." So the yogis will think of all this, the time of their death, right? So the path of light will lead one to the Brahma Jyoti, getting merged into the spiritual light coming from the Krishna's body, right? And the path of darkness, oh, it's the path of return. One will remain in this world, right? Okay. So in text 27, Krishna talks about the path of devotees. How do devotee, what happens? Naite shruti partha janan yogi muyati kaschana tasmat sarveshu kaleshu yoga yukto bhava arjuna. Krishna says in the next verse, Vedeshu yajneshu tapashu chaiva daneshu yat punya phalam pradishtam atyeti tat sarvamidam viditva yogi param sthanam upaiti chadyam. Right? So the devotee always blissfully engaged in devotional service, different services to Krishna, different ways to remember Krishna. The devotee is never fearful of death because the devotee has full faith in Krishna, right? That Krishna will deliver me. So that was dead, D-E-A-D, doubts, end of life, attaining the supreme, and devotion. And that's how we have completed the 8th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. Any questions, clarifications, comments you have, you could ask them now.
Prabhuji, there is one question in chat.
Uh-huh.
So the question is, even if we think of Krishna, if we don't deserve it, we won't go to Krishna.
Yes. But if Krishna is merciful, Krishna can fill in the deserving part also for his devotee. Right? But generally, Krishna would like us to, like those of you are parents, right? How many of you were like, you were in tears to see your baby falling and tripping while learning to walk? The parents cry, oh, my baby, my baby. But if the parents decide, oh, we will pick up the baby, no, our baby will not fall. Our baby will not get hurt. The baby will never learn to walk. The part of the process is the effort. The part of the process is falling, tripping, hurting, getting hurt. But the baby will get strength in the legs and learn to walk. And not just walk, the baby will run. The baby will drive, cars. But this baby did not have even the capacity to walk. The parents, the parent would try to be, merciful, caring, helping. Krishna does all that for his devotee. That's why tasyaham sulabha. It becomes easy for a devotee because a devotee has full faith in Krishna. Right? Okay.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah. Okay. If there are no more questions, we will. Okay, you want to announce for the next week, Gaurav?
Oh, okay. Yeah. So next week, since we are having His Grace Chaitanya Charan Prabhu here at ISKCON Calgary. So at that time in Tuesday, we'll be having a session in temple. So we'll not be having this class. I would also request all the devotees to attend all the program which is going to be there by Chaitanya Charan Prabhu. You can find all the more details in the news group in the WhatsApp group as well.
Yeah. So next Tuesday, we won't have this session. You all please visit the temple. Chaitanya Prabhu is a very senior devotee from ISKCON. You would love to hear his discourses. And the week after that, when we meet, we'll continue with the 9th chapter. Mukti has raised hand.
Yeah, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare
I have a question. In one of the lecture, I heard that spiritually, whatever you earn in this life, you carry forward on your next life.
Yes.
Now, let's say you are, let's say you take a form of any animal or something, or anybody. Like, can you like downfall, like what you have earned? Like, how do you make how can we make sure like we maintain the pace and we are rising, ahead and not going down? Like, is there any formula for that? Like, what can we do?
Okay, so your spiritual bank account is an eternal account. Your spiritual assets, right? They never go away. So if you practice, let's say 20% in this life, but because of some very gross sinful activity, right? So you or somebody deserves to go to the animal body. One may go through the suffering of it, but once spiritual practice is still intact, spiritual assets are still intact. As soon as that soul, after having gone through the animal species, comes back to the human form, we'll find quickly that person will pick up Krishna consciousness and begin from 21%.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So Krishna says, Nahi kalyana krit kaschit durgatim tat gachati. You have engaged yourself in the most kalyana, most auspicious spiritual activities. Durgatim na tat gachati. Hey tat, hey Arjuna, that person will never go durgati. That's the 6th chapter. Krishna says this. Okay, thank you very much. Sorry. What happened?
Can I
Who
ask
said?
one more question in relation to that?
Gaurav Prabhu, Gaurav Prabhu controls everything here. Yes, Gaurav Prabhu, what do you feel?
No, Prabhu, like it's based on you, Prabhu. Like.
Okay, yes,
You
Madhu,
decide,
continue.
Prabhu.
Yeah, just a quick question. How do we know if we are really doing a devotion, like how we are really forming a bond with Krishna? Is there any symptoms for that? Because, we may fail to understand that if it's
Yeah.
really something we are doing or.
Okay. So just as in this world, we don't in this world, we have experienced that we don't certify ourselves. It's the college, it's the university which certifies us. The teachers certify us. Similarly, if we want to see and ask, am I growing or am I advancing in my spiritual practice? That's why guru is required. That's why association is needed. Somebody else has to certify me. Am I doing proper? Am I going in the right direction? And when I have practiced the basics, I have followed nicely. Yes, swayameva spuratyada, we ourselves will also learn, understand. Just like if Gaurav has, Gaurav and I am sitting at the table and we both are having lunch. How will Gaurav come to know that he has eaten sufficiently now? Am I supposed to tell him? No, I cannot understand. Gaurav will understand that his hunger is no more. Similarly, on the spiritual path, you will yourself also understand after some time, after a good time, you will understand that you are advancing spiritually. It is revealed. And a very, very basic way to understand that I'm advancing on the spiritual path is everything material becomes disgusting. Very, very serious material detachment. Right? It's like saying, when you are spiritually advanced, if materially anything is taken away from you, snatched away from you, don't cry. You don't throw tantrums. No problem. Everything was temporary. Gone, gone. Let me hold on with Krishna. Let me hold on with my practice. You can put everything at stake for gaining Krishna. That means somebody is very serious and advanced, right? Like Srila Prabhupada is saying, just chant 16 rounds of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Are you ready to put 2 hours? That is advancement, right? When you are chanting, the mind will come in with so many offers and say, now, I will only hear the holy name now. That is a good sign of advancement. That's a great sign of advancement. Bhakti par isha anubhava, viraktir anyatra cha. Bhagavatam says, you will have, realization of Supreme, par isha anubhav. And second thing, which is most easy to see, is the detachment from the worldly pleasures. You're not after worldly pleasures anymore. They may be there, okay, but you are not after them. And if they're taken away, the devotee will say, anyways, with death, everything was to go. No problem, Krishna took it away before. Nice. I better focus on my spiritual. So all these are symptoms that one is advancing on the spiritual path. One other symptom I could tell you is you want to associate with devotees now, like-minded people. I want to practice spirituality, I will, and I want to become a devotee. I want to associate with devotees now. The Prabhupada would say the crows will remain with the crows, the swans will remain with the swans. So if you are spiritually minded, you will associate with those who are also spiritual. If you are serious, then you'll associate with those who are serious on the path. Okay, thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Hare
Hare Krishna.
Let us meet the week after the week after the coming. Yeah. What will be the date exactly?
7th May.
7th of May. Okay, thank you very much.
So it
Hare
will be
Krishna.
8th. It will be 8th for you, Prabhuji. Yeah.
Okay, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
Thank
you
you.
so much, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.